After Xi Jinping, Trump now appears to be getting politically bullied by Benjamin Netanyahu on the Iran file, as the Israeli leader pushes hard against any U.S. move toward a ceasefire or compromise that might be seen as a climb down after Washington's costly war. After China's snub and tough talk with Trump, Netanyahu is now cornering the U.S. president to sabotage emerging talks with Tehran, leveraging Israel's security concerns to undercut diplomatic openings that Trump's own team has been exploring with regional mediators. Trump had reportedly agreed in principle to at least two of Iran's terms in a draft understanding, but then Netanyahu made a phone call, and everything changed, with the U.S. leader suddenly hesitating and sending mixed signals about whether he would actually move ahead with the deal. Moments after Netanyahu's call, Trump appeared to walk back his own words, softening earlier talk of imminent progress and reverting to tougher rhetoric, suggesting that Israeli pressure had once again nudged him away from a clear diplomatic path. Israel is widely accused of blackmailing Trump into restarting or prolonging the war despite clear signs of U.S. fatigue and strategic setbacks, with critics arguing that Netanyahu is exploiting Trump's political vulnerabilities to keep military pressure on Iran at almost any cost. Amid a fresh push for a possible peace deal, a major revelation has emerged about an alleged U.S. U-turn in the Iran talks, suggesting Washington quietly shifted its stance after appearing close to real progress. The U.S. president has reportedly withdrawn from key diplomatic proposals that had been put on the table with Iran, pulling back from elements that negotiators believed could form the backbone of an agreement. According to reporting cited by Al Jazeera via The Cradle, Trump's withdrawal from these concessions came after a phone call with Israel's prime minister, hinting that Israeli pressure played a decisive role in changing Washington's course. Iranian affairs analyst Hassan Ahmadian disclosed this development to Al Jazeera, outlining how the U.S. position evolved and why Tehran now doubts Washington's reliability at the negotiating table. Ahmadian said that Trump retroactively walked away from two central parts of the draft deal, rolling back concessions that had already been discussed and tentatively accepted in principle. Both of these components had reportedly secured mutual acceptance from the U.S. and Iran, making the reversal particularly significant because it undercut the very areas where rare consensus had been achieved. The analyst explained that Trump altered his positions on both a ceasefire framework and the handling of Iranian financial assets, reshaping core pillars of the proposed understanding. Trump is said to have made a U-turn on a ceasefire arrangement that would have covered Lebanon, as well as on steps to unfreeze Iranian assets, moves that Tehran had viewed as essential confidence-building measures. Earlier, Trump's efforts to convince China to put pressure on Iran appeared to have failed, leaving Washington without the leverage it had hoped to gain through Beijing. During his trip to China, Trump reportedly tried to push Xi Jinping to compel Tehran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, but those attempts did not produce the desired result and left the strait largely shut. Meanwhile, while visiting India, U.S. Secretary of State Rubio signaled that any deal might take longer to materialize, cautioning that timelines were slipping as new complications emerged in the negotiations.
We're still a work in progress. As I said, we thought we might have some news last night, maybe today. I wouldn't read too much into it. It takes a little while to hear back. So we have what I think is a pretty solid thing on the table in terms of their ability to open up the straits, get the straits open, enter into a very real, significant, time-limited negotiation on the nuclear matters. And hopefully we can pull it off. It has a lot of support in the Gulf. It has a lot of support globally. Every country that we've walked through it understands it's not just very reasonable, but it's the right thing for the world to get done. As the president said, he's not in a hurry. He's not going to make a bad deal. I mean, the president's not going to make a bad agreement. So let's see what happens. We're going to give diplomacy every chance to succeed before we explore the alternatives. Look, the president's not going to make a bad deal. He's just not. This issue, no one has done more, and no one has been more serious about the threat of a nuclear Iran than President Trump has been. And so I'm very confident, and we should all be very confident that we're either going to have a good agreement or we're going to have to deal with it another way. We'd prefer to have a good agreement. Lebanon, we're working on separately. With Lebanon, we are engaged now. We have a 45-day ceasefire. We've had weekly meetings now and ongoing daily engagements between the government of Lebanon and Israel. The problem is not Lebanon and Israel. The problem is Hezbollah. Just last night, Hezbollah put out a statement calling for the overthrow of the Lebanese government. And it just reminds you of who you're dealing with here. By the way, an Iranian proxy, 100% Iranian proxy. And as long as Lebanon exists with armaments, as long as an armed Hezbollah exists, it's going to be hard to achieve peace in Lebanon. Well, Israel always has a right to protect itself. Every country in the world does. And so if Hezbollah is going to launch missiles or launches missiles at them, Israel has every right to respond to that or to prevent that from happening. That's always been understood. It's being understood during the ceasefire, and it'll now in Lebanon, and it'll be understood beyond that.
On May 19th, President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu held a tense phone conversation about a developing regional proposal. The discussion focused on a new plan involving several Arab and Muslim mediators, Axios reports. That framework was reportedly drafted by Qatar and Pakistan, with backing from Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Egypt. The proposal would formally end the war by arranging a US-Iran letter of intent to de-escalate hostilities. It would also launch a 30-day negotiation period to resolve disputes over Iran's nuclear activities and shipping routes. According to Axios, Netanyahu strongly opposed the framework during the call, warning against the terms. Israeli officials say Netanyahu argued military pressure should continue rather than offering concessions to Tehran. Bibi remained skeptical, pointing to previous negotiations with Iran that repeatedly failed, Israeli sources say. Meanwhile, Iran's parliamentary speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf accused the US of preparing conditions for another war. Ghalibaf warned Tehran would deliver a forceful response to any future US or Israeli attacks. Those threats came as Trump announced he had called off an attack on Iran at the request of Arab leaders.
To respond after you said yesterday you're about an hour away from making a decision. Where does that stand today? Have you heard anything from them?
It's right on the borderline, believe me. If we don't get the right answers, it goes very quickly. We're all ready to go. We have to get the right answers. It would have to be a complete 100% good answers. And if we do, we save a lot of time, energy, and lives, most importantly.
How long will you wait?
Could go very quickly. Or a few days. It could be a few days, but it could go very quickly. Iran is a defeated nation. We're dealing with some people, and I must tell you, we're dealing with some very good people. We're dealing with people that are, I think, far more reasonable than the people that are really no longer with us. We're dealing with some people with talent, with good brain power, and we're pretty impressed by it. So hopefully those people will make a deal that's going to be great for everybody. But I don't know. Do I get what? I never get tired. But what I like to do, if I can save war by waiting a couple of days, if I can save people being killed by waiting a couple of days, I think it's a great thing to do. I'll have a message at a later date. Okay.
Sir, on Iran, did the U.S. offer Iran oil sanctions relief during these talks as the Iranian TV was reported?
No, I haven't heard that. No. I'm not doing any relief until they sign an agreement. When they sign an agreement, we can get that place built up again and have something that's really a good country for the people. But no, we haven't offered anything.
The rise of AI, they're worried that their kids are not going to be able to have jobs someday because AI will
I'll tell you, AI has been amazing because right now we have more jobs, more people working right now in the United States by far than we ever had before. And outside of the war, and I assumed the economy was going to go down, the stock market would go down 20-25%. It's actually up. The stock market is higher now than it was before I started the Iran situation. And on the Iran, I had no choice because they were going to have a nuclear weapon. We're not going to give them a nuclear weapon. But that's going to end soon, one way or the other. Oil is going to come tumbling down. There's so much oil. We have 1,600 ships in the Strait that are loaded up with oil that are going to be coming out very soon. So we'll have to see. But the military has been unbelievable. The blockade has been infallible. Not one ship has gotten through the blockade. 37 have tried. They all wish they didn't.